Thousands of years ago, when the sun went down, the world became quiet. No emails, no alarms, no notifications, no boss message at midnight. The ancient brain had one job: survive the night. But today, the body lies in bed, while the brain is still at work, still checking, still remembering, still worrying, still waiting for danger. This is why modern sleep feels so strange. We are trying to sleep with a Stone Age brain in a world that never turns off.
Tonight, as you lie in bed, your body is tired, but your mind is wide awake. A message you didn't answer, a conversation you keep replaying, a future problem that suddenly feels urgent. And the harder you try to sleep, the louder your brain becomes. You probably told yourself, "I'll sleep early tonight." But the moment the room gets quiet, your brain opens every unfinished tab from the day. Not because you are weak, not because you are broken, because silence gives your mind space. Here is the strange part. Your brain may not be failing, it may be doing something very old. For most of human history, night was not only for sleeping, it was also when the mind finally had room to process life. To understand this, we have to go back before electricity, before screens, before streetlights, before the night became bright. Back to a time when sunset really ended the day. For your ancestors, when the sun went down, the world became smaller. No notifications, no endless videos, no blue light in the palm of the hand, just darkness. And slowly, everyone sank into the silence of the night. Fire changed the night. Before fire, sunset meant the useful part of the day was over. Darkness was dangerous, movement was risky. So the night was something humans mostly survived. But fire did something more than keep people warm. It gave humans something rare: extra time after survival work was done. And in that quiet time, people talked, remembered, worried, planned. They made sense of the day. This matters because those extra hours were not only used for work. During the day, life was practical. Find food, watch danger, move with the group. But at night, around the fire, the brain could do something different. It could process the day. History gives us a clue. Sleep historian Roger E. Kirch found many old references to something called first sleep and second sleep. Before modern walls, before locks, before electric light, the night was not completely safe. A sound in the bushes could matter. A pair of eyes in the dark could matter. So maybe sleep was never meant to be a total shutdown. Maybe part of the mind stayed close to the surface, listening. In that world, waking up in the middle of the night was not always a problem. It may have once been useful, a quiet signal, an ancient survival mechanism. Not a failure of sleep, but a memory of a much older world. Many people did not always sleep in one long block. They slept, woke quietly, then slept again. Then science found something similar. In the 1990s, psychiatrist Thomas Vare studied what happens when people live with long, winter-like darkness. After several weeks, their sleep began to split. About 4 hours of sleep, a quiet, wakeful period, then another sleep period. So waking at night is not always a disaster. Sometimes the body can wake naturally between sleep cycles. The problem is not always the waking itself. The problem is what the modern mind brings into that waking. 1,000 years ago, waking at night might mean silence, darkness, a few soft thoughts. Today, waking at night often means a glowing phone, unfinished tasks, and a brain trained to expect constant input. Light is one reason your night feels different. Your brain uses darkness as a signal. Darkness tells the body it is time to slow down. But artificial light, especially bright light at night, can confuse that signal. But it is not only the light. A message can bring emotion. A video can bring comparison. A notification can bring urgency. Your body is in bed, but your brain is still in the world.
During the day, when something is unfinished, you can usually do something. You can send the email, make the call, ask the question, check the message, fix the small problem. The brain likes that. A problem appears and the body responds. But at night, something changes. The email has been sent, but no one answers. The message is sitting there, but the other person is asleep. The task is not finished, but the office is closed. The question is still open, but there is nothing you can do right now. And this is where the mind gets uncomfortable, because your ancient brain was built for action. If there was a sound outside the cave, you checked it. If there was danger, you moved. If there was a problem, you reacted. But modern problems do not always let you react. Sometimes they make you wait, and waiting feels strange to a brain that wants closure. So at night, your brain keeps holding the problem, turning it over, looking for an action that does not exist yet. Not because it is broken, but because it has not learned that some things can only be answered tomorrow. But there is no next step tonight, only waiting. And waiting can feel uncomfortable to a brain that was built to react. So your mind turns the problem over again and again. Not because it wants to hurt you, not because it is broken, but because some part of it is still asking, can we finish this now? There is a reason for this. In the 1920s, a psychologist named Bluma Zygarnik noticed something strange. Waiters could remember unpaid orders in great detail, but the moment the bill was paid, they forgot them almost instantly. So she studied it, and what she found became known as the Zygarnik effect. The mind remembers unfinished things better than finished ones, because to your brain, an open loop still matters. A task that is done can be let go, but a task that is not finished stays active. It keeps a small part of your mind awake, waiting for closure. And at night, when everything is quiet, those open loops are easier to hear. There is another difference. During most of human history, people did not carry knowledge the way we do today. They did not have lessons waiting to be remembered, concepts waiting to be understood, information that had no immediate action. If you learned something, it was usually tied to survival, how to find food, how to use fire, how to stay alive. And when the day ended, there was nothing abstract left to solve. But modern life is different. You learn things that cannot be finished in one day, ideas that take time, skills that need repetition, problems that do not have clear answers yet. A lesson stays in your mind, a concept stays open, a question stays unfinished, and your brain does not treat it as just knowledge. It treats it like something that still needs closure. So, at night, your mind may return to it, replaying, rearranging, trying to understand something that cannot be completed in a single moment. But because your brain is still working on something it does not yet fully understand. That is why small thoughts feel bigger at night. In the day, they are background noise. At night, they become the only sound in the room. Your brain loves closure. It wants a finished story, a clear answer, a safe plan for tomorrow. But modern life gives your brain too many open endings. So at night, it tries to close them all at once. So maybe you are not simply overthinking. Maybe your mind is trying to process in a world that never gives it enough quiet time. The ancient night gave people darkness. You do not have to fight your brain. You can give it a softer landing. Write one unfinished thought on paper. Dim the lights. Tell your brain, we can come back to this tomorrow. Not to force sleep, but to show your mind that the day is finally closed. But that is only one part of the problem. You are not losing sleep because you know too much. You are losing sleep because too many things still feel unfinished. You are lying in bed, the room is quiet, the lights are off, but your brain is still awake. Not because something dangerous is standing outside your door, not because someone is calling your name, but because, inside your mind, too many things are still open. A message you have not replied to, a work problem, a question about money, a thought about your health, a worry about whether you are falling behind. None of these things is attacking you right now. But none of them feels fully closed either. And that is the problem. Your brain is not asking, "How much do I know?" It is asking, "What still needs my attention? Is this important?" And when the brain cannot answer that question, sleep becomes harder. Now imagine an ancient human sitting near a fire. The night is dark, the forest is quiet. His tribe is nearby. Then suddenly, crack! A branch breaks somewhere in the darkness. His brain wakes up. It does not ignore the sound. It does not say, "That is probably nothing." It asks simple questions. Is that wind? Is that an animal? Is something moving near the fire? Should I wake the others? This is information, but it is not endless information. This broken branch is different. It is close. It is physical. It is connected to action. The ancient brain can check it. He can listen. He can look. He can decide. And once the brain decides, the signal can end. The sound becomes just a sound. The branch becomes just a branch. The forest becomes quiet again. In the ancient world, information often had a shape. The modern world is different. Today, information does not always come as a sound in the forest. It comes as a notification, a headline, a short video, a message, a comparison, a new idea, a warning, a trend, a piece of advice, a question about who you should become. And most of these signals do not tell you what to do next. They only open more doors. You read one thing about health, and suddenly you wonder if you are taking care of your body correctly. You watch one video about success, and suddenly you wonder if your life is too slow. You see one piece of news about money, and suddenly the future feels uncertain, and somehow it follows you into bed. This is the difference. The ancient brain handled signals that led to action. The modern brain is flooded with signals that lead nowhere. Ancient information was limited. Modern information is infinite. Ancient information usually had a body. Modern information can be abstract. Ancient information often ended with a decision. Modern information often ends with another question. So the problem is not knowledge. Knowledge can help you. Understanding can calm you. Clear information can make life feel safer. The problem is not knowing too much. The problem is carrying too many open signals into the night. There is a useful idea in psychology. In 2011, psychologists E.J. Masicampo and Roy Baumeister studied this problem. Their study was called "Consider It Done." The idea was simple but powerful. In their experiments, they asked people to think about unfinished goals. Then, they gave them unrelated tasks to do. But the unfinished goals did not simply disappear. They kept coming back into attention. It can return as an intrusive thought. It can make related words easier to notice. It can interfere with other tasks. In simple words, the mind keeps checking the unfinished thing. But here is the part that matters for sleep. When people wrote down a clear next step for the unfinished goal, the thought interrupted them less. They did not have to finish the goal immediately. The brain only needed to know, "This is not forgotten. There is a next step. I can return to this tomorrow." Because before sleep, the brain does not only process facts, it processes open loops. But an open loop keeps asking for attention. An open loop says, "What should I do about this? What if it becomes important later? What if ignoring it is unsafe?" Your bedroom may be safe, but your brain is not only looking at the room, it is looking at all the unfinished signals inside you, the email you did not answer, the idea you did not write down, the plan you did not make, the news you cannot control, the comparison that made you feel behind. To the modern mind, these are just pieces of information, something unfinished, something uncertain, something that might matter. But to the ancient brain, they can feel like signals, and a signal stays active until the brain knows what it means. Once it is understood, planned, or placed somewhere safe, it becomes quieter. This is why your mind can feel full at night, not full of wisdom, not full of knowledge, but full of unresolved signals. It is like opening many tabs on a computer. One tab is work, one tab is money, one tab is health, one tab is the future, one tab is someone else's success, one tab is a question you cannot answer tonight, and your brain keeps the system running. Not because it wants to hurt you, not because it wants to steal your sleep, but because it is trying to protect something. It is trying not to forget. It is trying not to lose an important signal. The ancient brain once survived by holding important signals, but the modern world gives it too many signals, and many of them cannot be solved tonight. So maybe the question is not, how do I stop thinking? Maybe the better question is, which thoughts need a place to rest? You do not need to erase every thought. You do not need to understand every piece of information before sleeping. The brain may only need a small signal of closure, a note, a list, a simple plan, a quiet sentence that says, "This can wait until morning." This does not mean every problem disappears. It does not mean sleep becomes perfect. It does not mean the brain suddenly becomes silent. But it can change the relationship. Instead of carrying every signal as urgent, you begin to sort them. This is for tomorrow. This is only information. This is not a danger right now. This has a plan. This can be placed down. In the ancient forest, the brain needed to know where the fire was. In the modern mind, the brain may need to know where the thought belongs. Not every thought belongs in the night. Before sleep, maybe you do not need more information, less checking, less adding, less asking the brain to hold everything. This is not about becoming less curious. Curiosity is beautiful. Learning is useful. Knowledge can make life richer. But night may not be the best place to keep opening more loops. The ancient brain rests better when it feels the fire is safe, the group is near, the danger has been checked, the signal has an answer. With you, maybe sleep is not only about closing your eyes. Maybe it is also about closing the signals. Just for tonight. Just long enough for the body to rest. Just long enough for the mind to stop guarding every open door.
And maybe the answer is closer than we think. A dog can wake up many times during the night and still feel completely fine the next morning. It may open its eyes, listen for a moment, move its ears, adjust its body, and then return to sleep, as if nothing important happened. But you wake up once, just once, and your whole day feels heavy. Your body may feel slow, your mind may feel foggy, and even if you slept for many hours, something still feels unfinished. So what is actually happening here? Maybe the question is not only, why did you wake up? Maybe the deeper question is, what happens inside your mind after you wake up? You open your eyes in the middle of the night. Your body is still at rest. Your breathing is slow. Your room is quiet. The world outside has not changed. No danger appears. No one calls your name. Nothing urgent is happening. But inside, something has shifted. Your mind starts moving. Not strongly, not suddenly, not like a loud alarm. It begins quietly, almost unnoticeable, like a small balloon, slowly being filled with air. At first, it is only a tiny shift in attention, from rest to awareness, from quiet to noticing. You don't choose it, you don't even notice it at first, but once awareness returns, it can be difficult to ignore, not because the thought is important, but because it is there. And once something is there, the human mind often wants to know what it means. A memory appears, a question appears,
a feeling appears. Maybe something from yesterday, maybe something from work, maybe a sentence someone said, maybe nothing clear at all, just a small feeling that something is not finished. And thinking doesn't always stay small. Now look at an animal. A dog does not sleep in one long, deep, perfect block. It sleeps lightly. It wakes up. It listens. It checks the room. It shifts its body. Then it goes back to sleep. No frustration, no analysis, no story about what just happened. It does not think, "Why did I wake up?" It does not wonder, "What does this mean?" It does not turn the moment into a problem. It simply notices and lets the moment pass. A sound appears. The dog hears it. The sound disappears, and the dog returns to rest. Nothing is added. Nothing is carried forward. The moment appears and disappears. In a simple way, that is how many animals live. They react to what is present. Then they return to the next moment. Now go back, before modern life, before walls, before electric light, before locked doors, before soft beds, before a safe and controlled environment. In ancient times, the night was not safe. Humans were not the strongest species, not the fastest, not the biggest. They could not always outrun danger. They could not always fight it. They could not always see what was coming. A small sound in the dark could mean something important. A movement in the distance could be a threat. The snap of a branch could wake the group. A shadow near the fire could matter. So, sleeping too deeply might not always be ideal. In some situations, it could even be dangerous for survival. The ancient brain learned something simple. Rest, but stay aware. Sleep, but don't fully disconnect. Stay quiet, but ready. This does not mean ancient humans never slept deeply. It only means that in a dangerous world, a brain that could wake easily might have had value. The body could rest, while part of the mind stayed alert. In that world, interrupted sleep was not always a failure. Sometimes it was part of staying alive. But modern life changed the outside world faster than the brain changed inside. Today, you may sleep in a safe room. There may be no predator outside, no cold wind, no dangerous shadow near the fire. But the ancient brain still carries old patterns. It can still wake up. It can still check. It can still become aware. The difference is what it checks now. Not the forest, not the fire, not the sound of animals in the dark. Now it checks memories, plans, messages, conversations, unfinished feelings. The danger outside is gone, but the mind can still search inside. There is a different kind of moment in your sleep. You are not fully awake, but not completely asleep either. It does not feel like clear thinking, not structured thoughts, not a complete memory, but fragments, small pieces that don't fully form. They appear and fade away. A face, a sound, a sentence, a feeling, a scene from the day. They don't stay long enough to be fully understood, but they don't disappear completely either. They pass through, leaving something behind. Not a full memory, but a trace. Not a full story, but a feeling. Something unfinished, something still open. And your mind notices that, even if you don't know exactly what it is. It doesn't need clarity to feel present. Sometimes a thought is not heavy at first. It becomes heavy when the mind begins to follow it. One small question becomes another question. One memory connects to another memory. One feeling starts looking for an explanation. And suddenly, you are not only awake, you are involved. You are inside a chain. Scientists have studied this active stage of sleep. It is often called REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement. The name comes from how the eyes move quickly beneath closed eyelids during this stage. This stage, was first described by researchers Eugene Azarinsky and Nathaniel Kleitman in the 1950s. They observed people while they were sleeping and noticed periods of rapid eye movement combined with high brain activity. During these moments, the brain becomes highly active, even though the body remains still. Later research, including the work of Matthew Walker, suggests that this stage may help the brain process experiences, connect memories, and reorganize emotional information. Not as a problem, not as a failure, but as part of a normal function. The brain does not fully stop at night. It shifts into a different kind of activity. It sorts, it connects, it reviews. It processes what was not completed during the day, and if you wake up during this time, you may notice it more clearly, not because the thought suddenly began, but because you became aware of something that may already have been moving. Animals wake up and return to rest. Humans wake up and sometimes carry something forward, not because something is wrong, but because the human brain can hold more information, more memory, more language, more connections, more unfinished pieces. A dog may wake up to a sound, and when the sound is gone, the moment is gone. But a human can wake up to silence and still create a whole inner world. A thought can become a story can become a feeling can become a reason to stay awake. The difference may not be in sleep itself, but in what follows after waking, what stays, what grows, what gets repeated. A small thought can remain small, or it can expand, not because it is important, but because attention gives it space. So maybe the feeling of being tired is not only about sleep. It may also be about what continues after you wake up. Like a sound in the night, it appears and disappears. And maybe rest is not always about sleeping more. Sometimes it is about adding less meaning, less explanation, less story, and a little less weight inside the mind. But before this ends, there is one thing you should understand. Do all people need the same amount of sleep? You may hear stories about famous people who claim they sleep only 3 or 4 hours a night. Some leaders, entrepreneurs, and highly driven people even treat short sleep like a badge of strength, as if sleeping less means being more competitive. But the ancient brain does not care about status, it cares about function. Can you think clearly? Can you control your emotions? Can you react well? Can you wake without feeling broken? Before watches existed, before alarms, life had one giant clock. The earth turned, light came, darkness returned, day after day, night after night. For millions of years, living things had to follow this rhythm. Day meant movement. Day meant searching, eating, learning, reacting. But night meant something different. Night meant less light, less movement, less visibility. A time when the body could not safely behave like it was still daytime. So life adapted. The body learned rhythm, the brain learned timing, and sleep became one of the deepest ways life followed the turning earth. Sleep did not begin as laziness, it began as rhythm, a conversation between the body and the planet. The sun rises, the body wakes. The sun disappears, the body begins to turn inward. We often think sleep means doing nothing, but sleep is not the brain turning off. Sleep is the brain changing its duty. During the day, your brain serves the outside world. It watches faces, it listens to voices, it solves problems, it predicts danger. But at night, the brain begins another kind of work. It sorts, it repairs, it cleans, it reconnects memory and emotion. It prepares the body for another day of being alive. Every day leaves small traces in the mind, And during sleep, the brain quietly puts some of those traces back into order. Scientists have found something strange about the sleeping brain. At the University of Rochester, Dr. Micah Nedegard and her team described a cleaning system inside the brain. It is called the glymphatic system. During deep sleep, the space around brain cells becomes more open. Cerebrospinal fluid can then move through the brain more easily, like water used by quiet workers to wash away the dirt left behind. It washes away any waste products that remain after a day, including waste linked to long-term brain health. So sleep is not just a pause, it is chemical cleaning. If the brain does not sleep enough, it is like a room where the dust is never fully swept away. The room may still function, but every day it becomes harder to move clearly inside it. This is why sleep is not weakness. Sleep is maintenance. Sleep is the night crew entering the brain after the day has ended. So when we say the brain rests, we should be careful. The brain does not stop. It changes from reacting to the world to repairing the world inside you. When you do not sleep, the body does not simply become tired. It enters the next day unrepaired. The brain becomes slower. Attention becomes weaker. The world may not have changed. The brain reading the world has changed. In one study, Dr. Matthew Walker and his team used MRI scans to observe the brain after sleep loss. One group slept normally. Another group stayed awake through the night. The next day, both groups looked at the same emotional images, but their brains did not respond the same way. In the sleep-deprived brain, the amygdala became much more reactive. This is the region connected to fear, anger, and the old fight-or-flight response. Walker reported that the emotional response increased by about 60%.
This is why, after a bad night, a small problem can feel personal. A message can feel urgent. A delay can feel disrespectful. A small sound can feel like a warning. After a bad night, your ancient brain takes the wheel more easily. Your emotional alarm reacts first, and your modern brain needs more time to calm it down. This is why sleep does not only restore energy, it restores emotional control. Every hour you stay awake, your brain uses energy. When your brain stays awake, it slowly builds up a chemical signal called adenosine. The more adenosine builds up, the stronger your body feels the need to sleep. Think of adenosine like ash around a fire. The fire burns all day. The ash slowly gathers. At first, you do not notice it, but after many hours, the ground is covered. Your brain was never meant to work forever. It must stop. It must clear the ash. It must reset the fire. Sleep is part of that clearing. But then comes a real question. Can a cup of coffee help you wake up? This is also why caffeine can be confusing. Caffeine does not erase the need for sleep. It only covers part of the message. It is like covering the smoke alarm while the smoke is still in the room. You may feel awake for a while, but the pressure is still waiting underneath. It is true that sleep needs are not exactly the same for everyone. Age matters, genetics matter, sleep quality matters, your personal rhythm matters. Some people are morning types. They wake early and think clearly early. Some people are night types. Their brain becomes sharper later in the day. In an ancient tribe, this variation may even have helped the group. If everyone slept and woke at exactly the same time, the group had one long, vulnerable window. But if some slept earlier and some stayed awake later, the night had more protection. So the point is not to copy someone else's sleep. The point is to understand your own brain. How do you know if you slept enough? Instead of asking only, "How many hours did I sleep?" ask something more honest. How does my brain behave after waking? Can I wake up naturally and feel reasonably clear? Can I move through the morning without needing caffeine immediately? Can I drive, study, or work
without feeling like my mind is behind my body. These are simple signals, not perfect tests, but they tell you something. Sleep is not only counted by the clock, it is revealed by the next day. A good night is not only a number, it is a brain that returns with enough clarity to live. What about sleeping too much? If sleep is so important, why not sleep as much as possible? Why can't we just sleep forever? The answer is simple. Sleep is not an endless hole. Sleep is a cycle. It has a job, and when enough of that job is done, the body begins to return to the day. Too little sleep leaves the body unrepaired, but too much sleep may mean something else is happening. Your body was not designed only for night. It was also designed for morning, to move, to eat, to learn, to connect, to return to the world. So, sleep is necessary, but waking is also necessary. One repairs life, the other continues it. Maybe sleep is not escape from life. Maybe sleep is how life repairs itself after being awake. Your body sleeps because it cannot run forever. Your brain sleeps because it cannot guard forever. So if you find yourself awake at night, remember this gently. Your brain is not broken. It may simply be holding an old torch in a modern room. And maybe the night begins to soften when that guard finally hears. You do not need to solve tomorrow tonight. You do not need to answer every signal. You do not need to copy someone else's rhythm. The door is closed. The fire is safe. The body can rest. And the ancient guard inside you can finally put down the torch. Thank you for watching. If this video made your night feel a little quieter, you can subscribe for more ancient brain stories. And if there is one signal your brain refuses to put down at night, you can share it in the comments.